I read the minutes, yes.
Okay,
I move that we accept them.
okay, great.
Yep.
All in favor, or do I have a second?
Aye.
All in favor? Okay, go ahead.
Could I say something? I think there was something that needed to be corrected about, I emailed Sarah about this. What was it? I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember.
I'll look it up.
About
There-
batteries?
Something about geothermal on the there was some reference to geothermal on the plantation on the at the manor, and they cannot do geothermal because of the archaeological remains under the surface. They can't do.
It's only air source heat exchange, not geothermal, if there's a reference to that. I don't see them in.
I didn't see that.
They're not in the minutes.
Okay.
Okay, well,
That's
I
not-
don't know. That's interesting.
That's not in the minutes.
Okay, then
I
that's
think that was in Brian, that was in one of the ETIP documents. There was something about geothermal
Okay,
in
but
one of
they're
those.
not in the minutes.
Yeah,
They're not in the minutes, Christina.
thank you
Okay,
for
all right.
flagging that. We will eradicate it.
that's fine then. Okay, thanks.
Okay, good.
She is a-
So, we'll go into E-tip. Actually, let's jump to C, OSED. Meg, do you want to, here she is. So you want to just talk about briefly the PSEG meeting?
Yeah, so PSEG is gonna come to our next ETIP meeting on the 22nd. So I figured we could kick off the meeting with them and ask them any questions about community solar. And really the question that we were having was, if we create a community solar project that forces upgrades to the infrastructure, who's financially responsible? Is the town responsible for upgrading the transformers and stuff, or is that PSE&G's dollar? So that's kind of the core of the questions that we have for them is feasibility. Like if we were to do this type of project and we want to feed back into the grid, then, and we create this trigger, who pays? So they're gonna come to our next ETIP meeting. It just happened to be that was when they were all available.
This will be on Zoom though, right?
On Zoom,
Yeah.
so they're gonna come to our Zoom meeting.
This is more than one person. You say they.
Yeah, there's, I think 3 or 4 people who will be on to help us answer questions about the community solar concept.
Okay.
So do we have any way of anticipating what, I mean, I would be shocked if they could or would sort of answer that question in a straightforward way. And I'm just wondering if we have any resources, other communities, or I mean, maybe this is something Steve would know about. What has happened in other maybe New York communities? What sorts of questions have arisen, and can we anticipate those so that can be more than I'm thinking that they could answer with that with, well, it depends,
Well, I'm hoping that the NREL guys can also help us with
Yeah.
questioning, they'll have a better
Yeah.
understanding of what it would take to get it off the ground. So I'm thinking that because we'll have everybody on the call and NREL Island Institute, everybody will be there, we can kind of ask whatever we need to ask.
Plus Greenport
Yeah.
did something similar.
Yeah.
Have they reviewed the OSED opportunity? Has that been brought to their attention?
PSEG?
Yeah,
I don't know.
you didn't share that with them?
I told them that that's what we want to look at.
Okay.
So I'll send it to them again, just to make sure that they have it.
I mean, I think one of the questions is are they in a position to participate in the submission of a concept paper
Mhm.
that Becky offered to write, basically, that would include the grid upgrades, funding to PSE&G for grid upgrades.
Okay, I'll bring that up to them.
Because there isn't $10 million worth of work unless the utility participates.
Right.
And that's the clock is ticking on that one, that's end of February. So it's kind of finding out if they view that as an opportunity to do some work that the island needs done anyway.
Right. Yeah. 'cause we-
Enabling as part of that, the injection into the grid of
Mhm.
a lot of solar.
Right.
I don't understand the OSED community solar connection.
Coco,
Yeah.
are we still on?
Yes. Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
don't see all the other people.
Gallery, okay.
Okay. just wanna
She
be
just
sure.
changed the view.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay.
Go ahead, Sherry.
I don't understand the community solar OSED, Sarah, maybe this is a question for you. The relationship between the grant and and
I think the grant makes the most sense, as I understand it from Becky, and from the goals for the island, if it includes a significant solar array, which would have to be figured out if it can be at Sylvester Manor or if there's any other location, that would ideally be incorporated into a community solar program structure, so
there
that
would
the-
be,
so
there would
that
be
the
partial
ex-
funding for that from the grant and then partly from PSE&G, the connection part of it, or is that,
In order, from, what little we know, and this will be huge from PSEG, is that the grid right now probably can't take that much energy into it. According to the guys who said we should limit our roof array at the manor, let alone, an acre.
right,
So, the opportunity is, the opportunity is, put together a proposal that OSED would fund, which would include research into all of these things, including the regulatory hurdles such as can't put that much solar on preserved farmland. And find out if the utility is in a position to endorse or partner or be one of the recipients of the $10 million that would fund the infrastructure upgrades that the island needs regardless.
right, so as a recipient, not as a.
Maybe, burying utility lines, et cetera, and there's also a matching component, and I think this is why Sylvester Manor's participation would be strategic, because that matching, I think it's 5%, which is still a lot of money, if $500,000 could be in kind in providing the access to the land. Because the town's not gonna come up with $500,000 for this project. Sylvester Manor isn't gonna come up with $500,000 for this project. But it could be contributed in access to the land where the panels are gonna go.
Mhm.
And whatever the related costs are for the organization to participate in this.
I see, okay, thank you,
So
thanks
there's
for
a
helping me
formula,
understand that.
it's still a little bit remote and
Mhm.
abstract,
Mhm.
which is why I think Becky and PSE&G need to talk about each other with a mutual understanding
Right.
ideally of what the OSED program is looking for.
Right,
Apart from the fact that we have no idea whether the Office of Clean Energy Development will continue to exist after Monday.
after Monday, and whether we may not know by the end of February when this all has to be cleared up.
Yeah, and NREL's position on that was just keep trucking and hope and, because clean energy could very well be, still a priority given Musk and all the other stuff, so. Unpredictable, but anyway, and the thing is that it'll produce far more energy than the land owner can use. And that excess energy, if it's structured as a community solar project, doesn't just go back into the grid to help lower PSE&G's, meet their requirements for producing clean energy. It can be targeted to, because the town would also be a partner in this project.
Mhm.
It can be targeted to recipients who the manor and the town agree should have it, which could be community housing, it could be other nonprofits, could be the government buildings themselves, and so on and so
Right,
forth. So
right.
it could have a tremendous economic benefit and impact
Lower
for,
costs for us.
Sounds like a project that even Lee Zeldin could embrace.
so that, I feel.
I'm just saying, the winds are changing in Washington and,
I go back to Becky very early on saying that she's written these papers before for this
Mhm.
grant, and she thinks this is a very strong application,
Mhm.
particularly because there are some regulatory challenges, because one of the goals of this office, OSED, is to identify the hurdles and obstacles to more adoption and then find a way to
Mhm.
work through them.
Yeah.
So this project could have a statewide impact in tweaking how both counties and states approach preserve farmland
Mhm.
with archaic restrictions
Yeah,
on
yeah.
energy
I'm not
generation.
kidding about Zeldin. I mean, one of the main things he said so far in his hearings is talking about getting regulation out of the way of, you know, projects like this.
Yeah, and I think if it goes, you know, if next week goes well, or even before, we might wanna loop in Carrie Mead Gallagher. Who is Region 1 Commissioner for Public Service, no, it's not called Public Service, I forget what she is, but she's looking to do pilot programs on Long Island as well. She's headed the Water Authority, Region 1 DEC, and the County Planning Office, and now she's our region director for it's called Public something or other, I'll look at it.
Okay. Yeah, just forward me her information and I'll include it.
Great. I would like Stephen, our director, to be looped in, Meg, so
Yeah,
if it
sure.
makes sense to copy me and Stephen on any of those.
No problem.
I had a Zoom with Carrie and her top innovative guys at some point, and they were all it's called the Department of DPS. And she said they're the ones who make all the funding decisions for all state agencies relating to public services like energy, transportation, and so on and so forth. So,
Excellent.
Okay,
Great. That's exciting.
All right.
Hopefully.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great, thank you.
I've got them on the next call.
No, thank you, Meg, for setting that up. Okay, let's see. So slide deck. I just have a question, and that is Don and I were talking about this a couple days ago. But in proceeding with the slide deck, do we want to let NREL sort of keep working on this with our sort of guidance that we need it to be more resident friendly? Or do we at some point just want to say, thank you for all the data, we're now going to take it over, and then Don discussed actually not everybody at once working on it, but if you and I sat down and worked on a draft that made it more accessible, and then we shared it with everybody, and then did something like that. How do you want?
You're looking at me, so I'm going to answer the question unless anybody else wants to.
Okay.
I thought that's what we were doing. I don't really want them giving us words. I want them to give us the data.
The data.
And to explain it to us in a way that we can then
Okay,
reword it accurately. But the problem with the original deck is that I could not understand what they were,
no, I can't.
what they were
either.
talking about.
But I think, other in the room, other people in the room do understand that, which is great, because they can help sort of figure out what's valid or what's valuable to us, what isn't. But you and I are an example of who's going to be, we're the target audience here. So it needs to be,
Yeah, and also I think that, to Don's point in the markup, there was some data that wasn't accurate or didn't make sense. I mean, it wasn't that all of it didn't make sense to me because I'm stupid. It was because
stupid, it's
it was
just we're not.
because some of it wasn't really accurate or did not pertain to us.
Generalized, it wasn't
Yeah.
specific.
Yeah.
to Shelter Island.
So it's not just the amount of data, it was the quality of it, of the information, of
Okay.
the detailed
So,
information. So
I guess-
once we get that, and I hopefully now, if they respond to our questions, it will be. And then, yes, you and I can have at it.
I think, I mean, they're going
And
through
Christina,
all
I
their
think, is also
comments
good at
now.
this.
So hopefully they come back with a document that is more understandable, that then we could take and make our own.
Christina's hand is up.
Christina,
Christina,
Yeah,
go ahead.
thanks. No, I'm more than happy to help work on that deck. And I think we do, I think, yes, if they come back, just as Charity said, with answers to all of the questions we had, some of which were clarifications of the information they put on the slides that just needed to happen for everyone. And others just making sure that we understand all the information. Yeah, I think we can then construct any number of materials based on that information, but it's better to have more information than less.
No, I agree about that. I guess I was thinking about this thing, I just don't want to keep going back and forth with them, having these hour-long meetings where we're,
I think we've had it. We gave them a chance, and whatever they come back with, we'll have to work with.
Well, this is just one component. This is a residence component.
correct.
We
Right.
have the other components that we're considering for solar. So I want to keep it in perspective. And actually, we have, of course, the 2 volunteered houses. One with Sarah's home, I've looked at in some detail. And I think that we can actually do a better job of telling the community what's possible than NREL can at this point.
Okay,
So I would say keep it in our camp. Yes, we do that. We take their data, use it as appropriate, but we also introduce our own data.
Right,
Okay.
but we do need to go through this again on the other aspects of this. I mean, this is just the residential. This is just the residential part of the presentation.
We haven't heard anything concerning the other aspects.
They're not gonna give us the geothermal.
Well, they talked preliminarily, about the community center, which is now out of the picture. They talked about the school, and the recycling center was a joke. They were using a tiny fraction of what was
No,
possible there.
that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, aren't there other slide decks from them in our future?
well, I don't, one thing I want to ask them is how we're going to get the final report and what the format's going to be for that. But the other thing about the slide deck is it's not just for residents, so when we do something to the town board, or it needs to,
Yeah, I'm just saying the content of this slide deck, this is specifically just on,
this is for.
Residential
this is outreach.
solar.
This is outreach, yes.
is
Well,
that the only is that the only outreach deck we're going to get from them?
No,
Yeah, so all I'm saying is, I agree that we should not go back and forth with them anymore on this deck.
that's right.
We're
Yep.
done. They're gonna give us what they can and then we'll fly with it. But there will be, we will go through this
Sure hope
again
so.
on another deck, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Tim, I don't know. Are you
another-
saying
what do you
no?
mean- What do you mean another deck?
They'll give us something, whether it's a flyer, a handout, a report, we're gonna get more materials, but they are gonna talk about the different topics that were on our list. So there was geothermal, there was the
Is community solar?
Well, geothermal is
Yeah.
coming up at
Yeah,
next
we're-
week's
the
presentation.
next one,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, we're having all those, but
And then-
those are separate from this particular slide.
I know.
Yeah.
Isn't hydro another one?
Getting more.
Those are all,
Yeah,
that's all
okay,
information.
but I heard somebody say we're not gonna go back and
Oh, no,
forth
no,
with
no,
them
no, no.
anymore on
No, no,
the,
no, no,
on.
Just on the residence
I
program.
wanted to make sure
No,
that,
no, no.
we're just talking about
Yes,
residential solar.
just residential.
Okay,
No,
Good.
no, we have
All right.
a lot more stuff coming. from
yeah,
them.
I think we can still get, more out of them. I'm optimistic.
Okay, well, we'll see what we get back from them
Yeah.
with our comments and then assess.
Yeah.
Okay? But I guess my point was just that I didn't want to keep going back and forth with them, expecting them to make it more user-friendly or whatever, resident-friendly.
No, I don't have that expectation.
Okay, good. Okay,
I've never had that expectation.
good. Okay,
I actually don't think,
okay,
I'll
good.
stop there.
All right, I just had one,
I think they're too high level to
That's
just
not
like,
their thing. We
to get
need
it
to
down
use them
to-
for what they're good at.
Right.
That's the idea here. We can't expect them to.
Yeah.
I'm done.
okay, good.
Okay.
Okay, NREL, we are gonna get a geothermal, hopefully, and more accurate, thank you, Don. And more accurate sort of assessment of geothermal at the school. So I just had one thing, and you don't have to do it today, and I meant actually to send out something ahead of time. But I just, because this has come up from Kate, what do we all expect from NREL at this point? What do we?
You want to mention her note to the two of us? Is that what you're
Yeah.
alluding to?
Yeah,
Yeah, Kate sent a note following the last meeting to Tim and myself. And she sensed our frustration, which probably was not hard to sense. Anyway, she wants to know what she can do to help out. And apparently, other communities have also voiced similar frustration with the lack of relevance to their community. That was sort of my understanding of her note. And so, I find her great to work with. And so if she can intercede on our behalf, great.
Yeah, absolutely.
so you don't have to answer this now,
Yeah.
but if you could all just think about this and just send me anything along the lines of what Don just said, if you think that
So
we're
Don,
not-
what, have you thought about this? What would you say to that?
Well, he's already,
Actually, I was in the process of preparing a note to Kate that, of course, be from Tim. Yeah, not me. But I have it on my computer at home, but I guess I can't remember everything right now, what I was going to tell her, but
but Don has actually been actively jumping in.
Yes.
For instance, geothermal, originally they were using Australia as an example, and then they're using a prototype for the school, which was actually 3 times larger than the school.
3 times.
Three times, right? Yeah. Anyway, so Don has been helpfully pointing all these things out along the way to try to get them to focus more on specifically what our needs are and specifically what we have. So it's just along those lines, I just want to sort of be able to respond to Kate. If there's anything else that you, what all of you would like to get out of this, just let me know, because then I would like to put together all of this and send it to Kate and do it soon so that we can get, if we think something's going off the road or not exactly what we want, we should just let them know.
Right. Christina has.
Yeah, I just have a question. So, would the kinds of things that you're looking for from us, and we can send you by email, be, for instance, we would like an accurate assessment of what solar is possible on, say, for the recycling center, that sort of thing. I mean, I thought that's what we had asked them, but is that the kind of thing we need to be asking for again?
Again, Don has addressed that with them too, that they weren't really using all that was available.
Right.
But
Well, I take it actually, the response to Kate should be at a higher level than the specific projects. It's the how we work with NREL that I think is the problem.
I agree.
And that we do not have any interaction with these presenters who are at some high technical level and quite removed from our environment before they present. And then we find all sorts of questions and concerns during the presentation, and we wind up going through 1/3 of their slides before the time is up. It's a very ineffective means to present the information to us.
Yeah.
So it's along those lines I wanted to provide feedback to Kate.
It would also be helpful for them to send us the slides in advance so we could look it over and have our questions ready.
Yes.
Send questions back before the meeting.
Yes.
Or even a phone call with the presenter saying, is this along the lines of what you are interested in? Do I have the information correct? And there's, so.
I also think, I mean, it could even have started before that. I mean, I didn't realize going into this that they have this tool, the REOP, this analysis tool.
Yeah.
And by God, they're going to use it. That's what they've got, and to us, it is a complete black box. They ask us for data, we do our best to cobble it together. They put it in the black box and then they present to us what comes out the other end. And we're providing this data and we don't really understand the black box at all. And what comes out has no, turns out to have no bearing on what we actually want to know. So I think the problem, they didn't really, I think they need I'm not sure how to solve this problem.
Well, it's concerning that re-up specifically, Charity, it's available online to anybody. Is it exactly the same? I don't know. But we do know its inputs. And we could use it ourselves if it takes a bit of work to do.
Right, but I think I remember that, I remember some, you telling me, or maybe it was Steve early on, that it was available online. The thing is, I don't want to be, they're supposed to be the re-opt operators.
Yeah.
And part of that should be explaining to us what it can and can't do and how it's sensitive to different inputs. So for instance, if they'd said at the outset, the size of the structure is absolutely critical. And if you can't give us accurate information on that, the stuff that comes out the other end is going to be gibberish. So focus on that. We need that data. If you can't get us, the PSE&G records for this structure, we probably shouldn't analyze it because you're not going to get anything useful.
Right. Okay. Yes. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think a crux of the problem is poor project management by the NREL team and due diligence by our lead interface. I
Brian,
think that
I
those
placed the, right.
programs should be, those reports should be reviewed well in advance of the meeting and a digest performed because, and also just even little things like all the sort of off-topic chatter that starts at the beginning of the hour. These are precious hours and they're not being managed well. And I think that is, that's would be for me the crux of my feedback to Kate is that they're not doing their due diligence and preparation for the meeting and they're not managing the meeting hours well. They don't
Exactly.
even get through the agenda.
I think,
If that guy, if their texts are gonna go on and on and on, they should be cut off. And an alternative method determined in the moment, but that shouldn't even happen because our project lead should be reviewing this material, acknowledging that it's too detailed, too off topic, whatever, and fixing it so that it doesn't happen within that hour. I just think that there's been a huge waste of time. I like zone out during those meetings because they're not following the agenda, they're not efficient. There's just a huge amount of wasted time.
exactly.
That's my
Yep.
my project manager feedback.
Okay, so,
Could I also just make one suggestion? I think
Yeah.
a question to ask would be, we have given them, I know, Don, you've given quite detailed information about some of the sites. And Tim, you've collected information. I think one of our questions is, does that actually get to the people who are doing, the experts who are doing the analysis, who then come back to us with information that's based on these, so I think there's a basic question there to be asked.
It's not at all apparent. In fact, they don't even talk among themselves. So one presenter isn't aware of the other presenter's findings or data. Yep. Yep.
okay,
We'll put that feedback.
Yeah,
into it.
unfortunately,
Email for Kate.
I don't know, I mean, Kate's gonna have to be really creative to come up with some solutions for some of this, because I think some of it is, the horse has left the barn on.
I know.
But her contacts in DOE are probably higher level than our contacts.
Yes.
Yes,
So,
I would put it in her cable, see what she comes up with.
So in the time that we have left with this project, I would like to think that we could get something valuable out of this.
That's the goal. We'll try to get as much out of it as we possibly can.
As we possibly can.
I think Becky Meadows is terrific.
She's great.
Yes, she is very good.
And if we can get the OSED thing out of it, and even if that's the only thing we get
That's a
out of it,
huge-
that's huge.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I'm even, you know, even the idea of using geothermal at the school, I think is, you know, is, which I hadn't thought about.
Yeah.
And using a slinky system, all that stuff is great. I mean, obviously,
Oh, there's some great ideas in it all.
great ideas, whether we
Yeah, I
can,
was hoping we would get closer to, you know, where we are with OSA, you know, closer to where we could actually start, you know, writing for grants and,
Correct.
you know,
that's,
and
that's.
I don't feel very close to at this
That's gonna
point with
be-
most of
Yeah.
this.
I mean,
Align
that's,
their recommendations with available funding, that was one of the fundamental
yes,
aspects.
yes, and that's something I'm also concerned about, that it really does, we do need to have some kind of idea of how we can fund some of this. Otherwise, it's just, you know, they're pipe dreams. So, okay.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. Okay, so if, actually, Coco, this meeting is recorded, right?
Correct.
Okay, so actually, I can cobble together, if there's anything else you think about after this, that you wanna,
So you don't want me to write you a long email?
you can do that too. Yeah, no, I'm just saying, we've actually sort of discussed a lot of things
Yes.
at the meeting, which I can take off the recording. But if there are other things that, feel free,
No, I'm just kidding.
I, you know, 1,000 words minimum.
Just what you wanted.
Are you going to send something on your thoughts? What you just expressed? I mean, I think we can,
If Tim asks me to by email, I certainly
Yeah.
will.
Too.
Thank you, Sarah.
thank you.
Yes.
Do you wanna email me a request for this, or you want me to just do it?
Just do it.
Okay.
15 minutes.
No, yeah, no, it's fine, I just want it to be,
Yeah, yeah,
because I want to be asked for you.
yes, please do. Okay, good. It's probably a conversation we should have had earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, we did kind of bring it up 1 or 2 meetings ago, but it's just now that it's kind of,
I kept hoping that they, you know, that the black box would work and that they would roll out this great
Well,
stuff. And
I think-
just,
well, I don't want to share more of my
I'm
thoughts
such an
about this, but
optimist.
anyway, good, okay. I just want to jump to 2 other quick things, although we talked about one of them already. I just want to mention that and Sarah, I don't know if you were included in this email from Mark Hubner and Mary Morgan about the symposium, the Food Scrap Symposium on January 28th. Okay,
Yeah, I may have mentioned this at the last meeting, but Ariel applied for a scholarship to a national composting conference. There were 43 applicants, she's one of 5 scholarships awarded. So she's going to New Mexico or Arizona at the end of this month. She's also volunteering in order to reduce the costs of the fee to attend or something, so the whole trip is covered. And in volunteering, she'll be networking extensively with everybody who's there. And even so, she's going to make sure that she participates in the Houdener Zoom.
okay,
Even though she'll be there at the conference at the
Okay.
time. And she also was at the Ag Forum, that was earlier this month at Suffolk County, and it was clear, there was a presenter on composting from Cornell Cooperative, and it's clear that Sylvester Manor is a leader in the town. This collaboration is outstanding
Mhm.
and its impact.
and could you just repeat, because I was focused on trying to get people on. The town, so the collection is now going to be exclusively at the,
No, Sylvester
places.
Manor will keep doing what it's
both
doing.
places?
Yeah,
Okay.
and also there's a good chance that oyster shells through Cape Rossi Snook are gonna be added as another collection
good.
option at the farm. But that's TBD, and Ariel has been working with the town grant writer and Ken Lewis to obtain equipment that would enable the Sylvester Manor equipment to be modified in some way with equipment loaned from the town in order to be able to take scraps in barrels that the town will have at the recycle center in addition to the drop-offs at Sylvester Manor.
Okay. And how will that be monitored at the recycling center in terms of what people put in?
I do not know.
Okay.
That's a Ken Lewis question,
Okay,
but he's keen
okay.
to make it happen.
That's great
It'll
though.
be near the wet bag, the garbage bag drop-off, I think. It'll be near the wet drop-off
Mhm.
or something.
Great.
I don't know, that's.
There'll be a camera right
But
next to it.
this isn't a done deal, it's just the DEC agreed that this structure would work, so
Okay,
there's
that's
a grant
great.
application at the end of the month that the town and the manor are collaborating on.
Okay. Can we, when all of this comes together, I was thinking, do you want to attend the Zoom compost?
I was just checking to see,
It's,
that's the 28th
it's
of
the 28th
January,
from
that's a
10
Tuesday, yeah, that's fine.
no, January,
Oh,
Tuesday, January 28th,
Tuesday, January 28th, yeah,
from 10 to 12.
10 to 12, and that is a Zoom.
And that's on Zoom. And,
I just forwarded the invitation to you, Charity.
Thank you.
and maybe you want to write about it at some point.
Well, we'll see.
Excuse me.
That's
Or maybe we should wait.
This is the event that was at the library
Yeah,
last year, and how come
exactly.
we're doing it on Zoom?
because the library was not available and Mark and Mary just set it up this way, which is fine.
Lower carbon footprint.
Yes, it's fine with me.
It's really hard to take pictures at a Zoom event.
Screenshot.
The newspaper, I mean, it's just like, it's just something to think about when,
Well, the other thing is,
it makes it a less compelling newspaper article, I will tell you that.
but the other thing,
During the presentations that happen, there might be a particularly groovy shot up on the screen
Yeah,
that you could capture.
maybe.
Or we could accompany it with something from, the food scraps stuff.
well, the other thing is we could wait with this, when this all gets worked out with the town and do an article about all of this. Unless you want to put out your own article, but.
If there's something new, if something newsworthy happens at the compost meeting, then I can write about it.
Okay, we'll see.
How about that?
Okay, fine. Okay, good. So that's that. And we talked about the the MAP and CAP programs. Okay, Don has prepared a PowerPoint.
Coco, can you bring up the slides, please? Okay. Okay,
Is
good.
there,
Okay.
sorry, is there a way to make them visible online?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Not screen sharing?
You see that?
No.
No, not yet. It's just on, I can see it far
At the
away
bottom,
on your
share.
screen.
There you go.
No,
No,
right
it's
up
not.
from that, the blue little share button. No, above that, in the white, yeah.
There we
Oh,
go.
yeah,
Okay,
thanks.
got it now.
Yep.
See it now?
Yes, that's great.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you.
Okay, good.
Okay. So, some of you have been over there, you know the house. Anyway, I'm talking with Peter and Sarah. You considered the two areas for solar. The one on the left of the house and then the one on the right, the garage. And you can see north is up. So the house is facing close to south. The garage, I believe it's around 220 degrees. Okay, next slide. Okay, there we go. Thank you. On the
Oh,
left.
Sorry, that is actually not working. And we've got some big box in the middle and the slides are not changing. So I think I see I think you shared your screensaver, not the slides. So you just have to click on the slides when you do a screen share, share the actual presentation slide. Okay, now we can see this. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Just being funny.
Okay. Okay, next slide. On the left is the area using Google Earth of the house that's possible, the south facing the roof. And it's about 32 square meters. On the right is the garage, slightly larger, closer to 33 square meters. Okay, that's what's possible for solar. And I think at one point, Sarah, you considered both areas, so this was Green Logic, I believe.
Green Logic's initial proposal had panels on both roofs, and it was more than we deemed necessary.
Next slide. Okay, this is the view of the garage sized according to the tool that NREL provides called PV Watts. This is obviously the satellite view through the PV Watts tool, and it assesses the that possible area in terms of the output power, DC output. It says that for that area, 5.5 kilowatts DC for 37 square meters is possible. Next slide.
That's the maximum possible.
Given today's technology, that is what's possible, yes. In other words, in terms of the efficiency of the solar panels, that's what's possible.
Right. Doesn't take into account, you know, how much cloudy weather or anything like that, just what's potential.
That's the rating of the solar panel,
Oh,
not regardless of the weather or anything else, any other factors. It's just the area and its orientation.
okay.
Okay.
Your ideas.
On the left is the proposal that Peter forwarded to me from Green Logic about 5 years ago, a little bit more than 5 years ago, which they have assessed that they can place 18 panels. I know it's pretty small there, but I don't know if you can see it. It's actually, I have to get closer. They say that they can have a total DC power of 5,886 watts, a little bit more, slightly more than what was projected based on the NREL tool PV Watts. Using that input, I then used again the other portion of PV Watts tool on the right to show the kilowatt hours per year. And it shows 7,728 kilowatt hours per year are possible. That is for Shelter Island, given our weather, given the orientation of the roof, the tilt of the roof, the pitch. So that takes all of that into account, and you could see the solar radiation by month and then the AC output kilowatt hours by month, okay, which is, you can use that to compare to the actual power rather than the DC, which is going to be higher. There's a lot of losses between the DC and the AC output. Okay, so keep that number in mind, 7,728. Next slide, please. This is the actual generation as reported by PSEG to Peter. On the left, it's 5 years of data, okay? By year, you can see there's some variation year to year, but just sort of eyeballing it, that's somewhere around 7,000 kilowatt hours per year. If you take the total there over those 5 years, at the top, you could see solar production, 38,600.2 kilowatt hours over 5 years. Divide that by 5. On the right, you come up with 7,720.
So they're only off by 8.
They're off by 8.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
So 2 independent assessments. And so I would say, based on this, that PV Watts tool is working pretty well.
That's projected and actual.
Correct.
Very cool.
Isn't that amazing?
Mhm.
And of course, Sarah, the good news for you is your lifetime energy mix there. Solar energy is very slightly under the home usage.
That varies through the year.
Sure.
It went way down after the hot, dry summer. It went down to, I don't know, 98, 97%. And sometimes it's at 102 or more. We're hoping that we'll keep getting sunny winter days and get back over 100%. But
Yeah.
on the months, that's lifetime. Many months within that have been over 100%. So there's been no charge except for the connection fees from on the electric.
With that, if
bill.
I may, next slide, please. Here's a recent electric bill.
So the connection fees continue, they're every month?
Correct,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's not a
You see, they
one-time,
have a
They're very
balance,
low.
opening
It's like
balance
$50 a month.
of 470 kilowatt hours. They applied it to the current bill of 259 kilowatt hours. You still have an energy credit balance of 211 kilowatt hours.
And what was the monthly charge there?
$16.61.
That's what it costs to have the connection where we're putting it in and taking it out as needed.
Right.
It's, we can live with that.
So I think we have here a much better case study than Becky's house out in Colorado.
Well, so what were the costs of installation and you have to look.
Peter has provided all of that, and the rebate.
I'm sure he has, I'm just wondering if it's, is the picture still?
Very positive.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, absolutely. He, if I may, Sarah, he took out a mortgage. He and Sarah took out a mortgage to pay for the installation cost, which after the rebates, my recollection, it was about $11,000. It took out a 7-year mortgage. The monthly payments are $155. So actually, their monthly payments, you could say right now, are the combination of the 155 and the 1661 for December. But that is still under what their electric bill would have been had they not installed it. And of course, at the end of 7 years, then they're free.
The mortgage is paid at that point and then they're, I see.
Right. So we have all of that data, and we can get, I didn't want to get into that today, but yes, I can
So
get
you
it.
don't have to actually pony up the entire amount upfront if you can't afford to do that, you can finance.
There
it.
are financing
Better off.
mechanisms.
Yeah.
I
Now,
believe that Green Logic made that painless. I think they connected us with the credit union and,
Mhm.
and we just had to kind of go along with it. They're a remarkable customer service organization.
Green Logic.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
by the way, anytime we refer somebody who actually buys a system, we get paid. So if you're a customer and can bring other customers along, you'll be compensated.
This is
Well-
great.
We actually
So-
did that with one of our neighbors asked for a referral and they sent us a check.
Sir, do you know if there are other companies that do this work on Shelter Island?
Mhm.
Do you know anything about?
Sun Power,
next slide.
Sun Nation
Sun
and Harvest
Nation.
Power.
And what was the
Can I have
third?
another slide there, Coco?
Next one?
Yeah,
Sure.
please. There. You may not be able to read all of this, but just to show you, Peter has done detailed analysis, Excel spreadsheet of the cost savings over 2 years. And the bottom right in red, $1,085.34.
That's the total savings?
Nice.
Wow.
So that's even before, that's a total savings
Oh, we're still
Eight.
paying the loan.
Exactly.
while you're still paying
Correct.
off the loan. That's incredible. So,
The loan
and
is
then
only
after that,
It's a 10-year, you do 10 years? Is that-
7 year.
7-year loan.
7 years.
7 years. So after the 7 years, then your savings are going to go way up because you've already got,
Correct.
it looks like $500 a year.
Well, he has that, the bottom number. Can you see
Right,
that?
right. Yeah.
What is the?
Oh, I see. Annual
lifespan of a
savings
system like
after
this?
2027. That's brilliant.
Exactly. Yep.
I think they, the warranty is 20 or 25 years,
Yeah,
but
May have been.
they don't, but they tell you, we can't promise it, but they generally last a lot longer. or, I mean, they don't stop working, they start to become less productive,
Mhm.
but
So maybe when you replace the roof, you replace the panels or?
I don't know, it hasn't, we
Well,
haven't thought that through.
They continue even after that. They're down to, I believe, 85% at that time, and they consider that end of life. But you still are
Uh-huh.
producing a fair amount.
You may have to also at some point, you know, after the 20 years or 25 years, you'll probably need to replace the inverter.
Actually, every panel has its own inverter, which is an advantage of this particular manufacturer, because otherwise, if your inverter goes down, your whole system is down.
Yes.
This is a much more beneficial, not every provider uses that technology.
Oh, that's a really important point because our inverter went in on our system in Washington.
Yeah.
And because a fuse went and it was hardwired into the system, so they had to replace the entire inverter. Fortunately, we have a lease system, so they ate the cost on that. We didn't have to pay for anything. But that's another thing to look into is, you know, ownership versus lease options. I don't know if they're still leasing systems, but we bought 20 years of power for $4,000.
We would,
And
I mean, ideally, we would replace our propane hot water system with on-demand units for discrete bathrooms or, you know, high shower use, whatever, or
Heat pump, water heater?
or a heat pump, but that would, in order to do that without sucking a lot of power back from PSEG, we'd have to put in more panels to accommodate that. So we have not eliminated our carbon footprint. We are still using propane for heat and hot water, which is not ideal, but this covers everything else, including the HVAC in the summertime.
That's great.
Which is a big thing.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay. That's it.
Thank you, Don.
Yep.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Sarah.
Peter.
Thanks, Don.
Yep.
Oh, can I just add, we're gonna use this to present from, right? This case,
As
we
part,
can use this as our case.
yes, with.
Is there, you know what, this is, as something, I keep hearing this, I don't want holes in my roof from solar, I'm afraid to put solar panels on my roof because I don't want holes in my roof. What is this about?
I mean, there's some hardware, but anyway, Peter endorsed this morning, anybody who wants to come by and look at the installation. There's also a tube that runs down the side of the house that was installed on the siding. They use, you know, obviously, they're not gonna have successful business if people are having leaky roofs. So they address that in the installation. I don't know exactly how.
So
Yeah,
it
just
is an issue and a good installer addresses it. That's the, you know.
I think that's
That's
the answer,
the
but
answer.
I'm not speaking authoritatively
Yeah.
on that. I would ask.
Well, yeah, I could weigh in here. I mean, we had the same question because we had just had a new roof put on our house in Washington. And Chris was particularly concerned about this. So they sent us a diagram of the ceiling system around where the posts, because the mounting system has to penetrate the roof and be attached to something, you know, through the roof barrier. And so it does depend on the installer, but that should not be an issue. But it is something to look at.
Good.
Elise, you have your hand up?
I do. This is so illuminating. Thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing, because this is answering a lot of questions for me. Unfortunately, I'm the only one on this call. And I wonder how you share this information with the rest of the public. I've got the website up for Green Logic. I'm going to be contacting them. And I appreciate, and I'll mention your name if we go forward with it.
Elise,
Yeah, go ahead.
just to answer your question, we're planning a whole outreach about solar for residential solar. It's one of the things we're working on
Okay.
right now. And there'll also be a presentation to the town board. We've also
A Friday night dialogue.
Yeah, and then also we would like to go to, I think the Water Advisory Committee has done this, they've gone to the various associations on the island,
Right.
presentations. We would do that. We would do as many ways of reaching out to the public as possible about this. And also, we're planning, we've discussed, I don't know how we're gonna do this, but having sort of a home tour of, we can find 5 or even 4 or whatever we can get, homes where people can actually go visit the homes and talk to the homeowners about their solar or heat pump installations. So there is a plan.
Well, that's wonderful. And because we've been looking at Shelter Island Local with people now putting videos on about their IA systems. And it's great to hear people that live on the island and what their experiences are. So thank you, guys. This is great.
I've only seen one of those videos. Is there more than one?
There is another one that just came out the other day. I saw it. It was
Oh,
a different
okay.
person. I don't remember his name.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. it was
Yeah, he
excellent.
didn't say his name.
No, I don't remember, but it was excellent. So this gives you confidence to move ahead. So it's great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for attending weekly, or not weekly, but all our meetings. Anybody else have anything? I have to run, unfortunately.
Thanks very much. I think it was a productive meeting.
Yes, and so go back to bed now.
Thank you for participating, Christina. You were great.
Thank you for bringing it to my attention. I appreciate it.
Sorry, I knew you were anyway. Thank you. We needed to have this meeting. Okay, thank you, everybody. So in terms of, I will take comments off the recording for NREL, for Kate. But just send me any other thoughts you have. Nobody's going to be, it's going to be all put together in one. So nobody's, so Charity said this, and your names will not be on there, but I will say that this represents the committee's comments.
I don't
And
mind
more.
my name being associated.
Pardon?
I do not mind my name associated with.
Well, no, I know, but it really, it's coming from the committee.
Yeah.
So I don't want to
Yeah,
break it down
fine.
that way. And if there's repetition, then I just sort of combine everything. And I will send it out to all of you before I send it to Kate. Okay,
All right.
but I'd like to do that soon.
Sounds good.
Early next week, I'd like to do it. Get it to them.
Sooner?
Well, let's see,
Yeah, I know.
today I have relatives visiting.
It's Thursday.
I have a meeting
Okay,
from 3 to
okay,
11
that's
to
what will be
12.
done.
I can do it tonight. And tomorrow I'll have.
Well, can we
Tomorrow.
help or
Pardon?
can we help?
Well, just send me stuff ASAP.
Do you get a transcript of the meeting or do you have to listen to the whole thing?
Listen to the whole thing, right?
I know, no
I can
transcript.
send you a transcript.
Oh, you can?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
Oh,
know that
it's,
was possible.
How long does that take?
It's automatically done, right?
Well, there's a transcript on YouTube, but also we have a transcribing company. Send it to you.
You can send me, I mean, all I really need is just this one section of the meeting. We didn't talk about it for an hour.
Yeah, I can send it
So it's
to
not
you.
that hard.
Yeah, I can send it to you by noon.
I can just, it's just easier because the transcripts sometimes get things wrong. So I
That's
would rather,
correct.
I would rather just go through the 10 or 15 minutes that we talked about this and write down stuff. So when are these usually available, the recordings?
It will be up within the hour on
Oh,
YouTube.
okay.
I'll send you the link.
Send me the link.
Okay,
That's all I need. Okay, perfect.
and it's on SharePoint.
Okay, good.
The dreaded share.
It's easier to send him the link.
Just send me the link.
Okay.
I can.
I can tell by your face, Tim. Not sure.
Not sure.
No, I'm getting comfortable with SharePoint.
Motion to close the meeting?
Motion to close the meeting. All in favor?
I
Thank you all.
Second. No, second.
I love your smile.